All right, got a piece of media here done by Carlos Ulberg. If anybody's had a busy 10 days, it's him. Gets a victory in Perth, gets on an airplane, comes to a different time zone, does some media, which I haven't seen yet. Let's hear what Ulberg has to say.
Carlos, front right here. Well, congratulations on your last win. I guess how's life been since that big knockout loss? Because, now you're here as a guest fighter. You got both Ankalaev and Pereira saying that you're probably next. So just how's life?
Sweet, man, sweet. I shot off back home to New Zealand. I had about an hour to pack my bags again and jump on the plane to head here to Vegas. So it's nice to be here and in the flesh, man.
How's the attention from the fans been? Because for a long time, the City Kickboxing Boys, it was always like, oh, training partners with Izzy. But it really feels like, since that Jan fight, you've emerged as like your own fighter, and now people are really focusing on you as a future champion.
Yeah, that's what it is. And I'm not too much of a trash talker, but now we're here. I proved myself. And that's what I like doing. I like to prove myself. And the most important thing is to make sure that I know for myself that I belong here and I belong at that top.
And obviously there's another light heavyweight fight that they also believe that they're fighting for the number one contender. But I guess how good does it feel and to hear, like we said earlier, like both Ankalaev and Pereira are saying you're the one they want to fight next. They want these fresh matchups.
They know, because they know what it is. They know who deserves the spot, and I definitely know that I'm next on the spot, and I've earned my due. And you know what? But I'm not even going to call for it anymore. I will fight anyone. If I have to, just to prove to any of the critics or anyone in the division, I will fight Yuri or Khalil, whoever wins between the both of them. I'll fight them just to make sure that everyone can shut up, and I am next.
Let me jump in here. Now, guys, I am armed with the benefit of hindsight. This interview was conducted on roughly Friday of last week. Now, in case there's any confusion, the reporter misasked the question, right? He leads into this by asking Ulberg, how do you feel after the knockout loss? It was a loss for the other guy. Ulberg got the knockout and won. And I only set that up because there is an appearance that you've got a number one contender, and there's pageantry in this sport, very much. I will tell you I'm part of it. I have promoters that will ask me to do certain topics to see how they do with the audience. So this is the walk, right? Ulberg is now doing the walk. He is the candidate that's going to get a little bit of shine, and then ultimately the mandate of the masses are going to make their decision. But Ulberg, he doesn't appear to understand the position that he's in. Like, he comes across a very handsome guy. He's coming off a big victory. He looks good. He's being polite. But he doesn't appear to get the position that he's in. The reporter teed him up. He said, how does it feel to be the guy? You're the guy that Ankalaev's calling for. You're the guy that Alex Pierre is calling for. Now, I want to just stop him right there. Where? Maybe there's an answer to that. I have never heard Ankalaev say his name, and I've never seen Pierre say his name. In fact, quite the opposite. I can tell you who Ankalaev called for, and it wasn't him, and I can tell you Pierre has had a number of ideas, none of which are Ulberg. Now, I don't say that against him. I say that so that you understand many times in life, you are going to get what you asked for. But moreover is the reverse of that statement. Very rarely in life will you get something that you didn't ask for. So Ulberg finds himself in a very interesting position where he is arguably the number one contender. Now, this is coming just before Roundtree and Prohaska. So how's that look? Who comes out of the main event? What does the parity look like? There's plenty of moving parts in this situation. And one thing strategically that can be better than talking about a title fight, I qualify for a title fight. One thing strategically, it takes a little bit more precision, but as you call for a specific name, then privately, you're keeping your fingers crossed that name comes out of the weekend with the belt. But calling for a specific name is more helpful. I have to trust Ulberg when he says, I don't care. I have to trust Ulberg when he says my next opponent is either Ankalaev or Pierre. He went to a completely different direction. He invoked Roundtree and Prohaska. He didn't have to do that. Now, he hasn't screwed anything up yet. I'm just sharing for you as we're getting kicked off. A name is what I'm looking for. I didn't get one. Ethan, let's see what he says next.
You also have this, like, I saw an interview where you said, you would prefer to fight Ankalaev over Alex just because it seems like Ankalaev presents more puzzles and seems almost unbeatable. So I guess why Ankalaev as opposed to, maybe quote unquote the bigger name in Alex?
I feel like he's dangerous. I feel like he's a more well-versed fighter. He's all-around fighter. And I think he'd be the guy to beat. And if you want to be the man, you got to beat the man. And right now, he's the man. So that's the guy that I want to beat. And if he can get this done over Pereira tonight, and I get in there and I beat Ankalaev, then that just means I'm the man. I know I'm the man right now. I don't even have a title.
Now let's stand down. What a difference a day makes, right? What a difference. This last statement nullifies what he said first. He has now said a name. Ulberg is not looking to fight the harder fight. He does not believe that my skills are going to be tested more against Ankalaev. That is talk. Your job as a fighter is twofold. Find the absolute easiest opponent for the biggest check. That is your job at all times. And so Ulberg is now telegraphing that he believes that Ankalaev is going to win this contest, and he's starting to align himself with Ankalaev. Smart.
And then just last one for me. The first time you and I spoke, it was you and Blood Diamond we were in the bubble, and you weren't even in the UFC yet. So I guess since then to now, how can you summarize your UFC career from, being Izzy's training partner, Contender Series, and now possibly fighting for a title next?
Surreal, man, surreal. But I mean, I've always believed. I've got a lot of belief in myself, and I've always had that belief that I was gonna be at this top. It's always been there, and now that we're here, I'm shining.
Carlos, right here. For someone who's never going to be in the octagon, can you just talk about what it feels like to have a performance like you did on Saturday? Just looked like you were so dialed in. You get a highly ranked, very dangerous guy out of there in the first round. Just what is that moment like for someone who's never going to step in there?
Pretty good, man. It was a good feeling. And not only that, it was my first 5-rounder, first headliner. So you could imagine how much of the pressure that you would think that it would have on me, but I rose to the occasion, and that's what I love. I love being put in the deep end, and when I do, I always come in prepared, and I get the job done.
I asked a little bit more for your reaction. The internet got a big kick out of the female fan at the Q&A saying, "Hey, Carlos, best-looking guy in the UFC." You did take a photo op with her. Just wondering, being the guy talked about like that, what do you react? What goes through your mind when that kind of moment happens?
I got my eyes on that gold, man. That's all that matters to me.
Do you feel like you're the most popular fighter with the female fan base in the UFC?
I got my eyes on the gold, man. That's all it is to me.
Looking forward to the next one.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to jump in there. Now, I know this is a piece of satire, but there's really not a better way to handle that situation, by the way. If you're a handsome guy, oh, and by the way, you can kick everybody's ass in the room at the same time, you're largely only going to look like a jerk. Like, you're not going to be celebrated for that. That's going to be to your face, behind your back. Everybody's going to want to put a knife in it. I feel like Ulberg handled this very well. There was also a reference in there from the previous reporter to Blood Diamond. I got to tell you guys, I can't touch it. I don't know who Blood Diamond is. I follow this sport very closely. I don't know anybody that's got a nickname of Blood Diamond. He then quickly went into Israel Adesanya. I'm not seeing the connection. Maybe you can share something with me. As far as being a handsome and tough guy, Ulberg is conducting himself like a gentleman. Ethan, what's he say next?
You come from an amazing gym, City Kickboxing. I want to know who's pushed you the most in training and in life as a human being after losing that first fight in the UFC?
Man, I've always had inspiration for Mark Hunt. He's a big inspiration for me. He's the one that got me into the UFC. Or he's motivated me to believe that I could be the next guy. I followed him years and years ago. He took me around the world, not only me but the Tougher brothers, Bam Bam Tuivasa, and we all made it into the UFC. We all did because of Mark Hunt. So I give my props to him. And then at CKB, we all level up. And I think we all keep each other sharp. So there's a lot of us in the UFC right now. And you can see that there's so many guys coming up and about to enter the UFC right now. So it's massive right now in New Zealand and Australia.
Carlos, do you ever find it uncomfortable that actually it's mostly us men in the media who bring up how beautiful you are?
I do, bro. I do.
I haven't seen this piece by Ulberg. And if I was to tell you anything other than he's kind of making me a fan, it wouldn't be true. He comes across as a pretty nice guy. I also happen to be somebody that's been to Australia and come back on that time change. And I just know the energy that it takes. I know how tired he is. I give him a little bit of props for that. Look, my final analysis on this. If you fly 22 hours, if you were coming off of a main event, in the world of promotion, all right, once you go main event, if you come back and you're anywhere else on the card, you've been demoted. In the world of promotion, at least in theory. With a victory, the only thing higher than main event is title fight. And this is an audition. Ulberg is on an audition right now. I think that he's doing very well. I will just share with you as we get through that clip, which spanned a total of 6 minutes and 30 seconds. If you're ever talking about the past, you're not setting yourself up for the future. There's a reason, regardless of the record media days a Super Bowl may have, there's a reason they don't replay it. There's a reason for my lifetime, the greatest quarterback ever, actually a guy named Joe Montana. But people aren't talking about Joe Montana and the wonderful days he had because those are in the 80s. We got to talk about what's coming up next. We got to talk about what's coming up now. And this is what Ulberg was brought here to do, was to audition for something in the future. They got him on a topic that he had with Israel Adesanya from months ago. They got him on the topic of who his favorite fighter is, which is Mark Hunt, who hasn't competed since UFC 200. They got him on a topic of scoring a knockout victory a week ago. And these are all good things. These are things that you use to get to this moment. But in this moment, you must find a way to build a bridge and direct. If the reporter doesn't do it for you, you must find a way to direct and get it to what you want in the future. So let's just retry this real fast. Hey, Carlos, you're coming off this huge victory and it was in a main event. How does it feel? Right there is where you build a bridge to world title fight. Man, it feels great to get a victory, but to become the number one contender was my goal. To come out of that fight and to be told by everybody I'm next, to be flown to America, to sit ringside to see my next opponent. It's called a presumed sale. In the car business, when you're looking at a car, they will talk to you. Hey, what color do you want that? It's called an applied sale, as though you've already agreed to buy it. And I'm just sharing with you, if Ulberg would have come out and said, having been named the number one contender, wow, when my coaches came in the back and they told me, you're next, we're getting on a plane, we're going to the fight capital of the world, you're sitting ringside, these guys are going to fight for the opportunity to face you. Had he said those things, they become true. This sale becomes implied. And if you're ever talking about the past, or even the present, you're not setting yourself up for the future. It's a strong critique. And Ulberg overall gets an A on this. He did a very good job, and he came across as a nice guy, which to him is important. That's what he wanted. He succeeded. As far as understanding the position, the role, why he's in that seat, why these cameras are here, we can't sell anything that's already happened. We're not going to tell you. We need you to figure this out on your own, but you're in this seat with these cameras now to sell something for the future. Get us there. Build a bridge. Tell us why the future is important, that it involves you and a world title fight.